All right. It's about that time. I see we have already from 1 minute of waiting, summoned a furry in chat. Looks like I have no choice but to start the stream, or the furries are gonna come for me. Alright. Yo, what the hell? My video capture's not working at all. I did not expect this to happen. No. Okay, there we go. Camera actually works now. It's a little janky. It's a little unfortunate. But we figure things out around here. Anyways, hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. We all know why we're here. It's been over a week in the making. I've created a little tier list here of what I consider to be the most bootlicked billionaires who are currently alive today. Whenever people say that there is no such thing as an ethical billionaire, these are the people who are most often brought up. And also I added my mom's boss because I wanted to, and because this is my stream and I get to do what I want. Basically, we're gonna be ranking MrBeast, philanthropist extraordinaire, LeBron James, the GOAT, Gabe Newell, owner of the best monopoly in history, Limont, a guy who owns some stuff, and my mom works for him, and he's trying to use AI to teach kids, apparently. Melinda Gates, estranged wife of Bill Gates. Surely she hasn't done anything wrong since she's left Bill Gates, right? Because he's obviously not someone who the bootlickers can really easily defend anymore, because he was in the Epstein files. But Melinda Gates, she broke up with him over cheating and the Epstein files. And of course, we got Taylor Swift, every 8-year-old girl's favorite artist, and trust me, this one might be the one I've heard defended the most out of all of them. But by the end of this stream, I hope that I can help you guys all understand why not only is there no such thing as an ethical billionaire, I think that that whole premise is missing the point. So let's get into it, shall we? Starting with MrBeast. You might think that MrBeast, he's a pretty funny guy. He made some decent videos. I might have reacted to them back in my young and naive days. He even planted a bunch of trees. Like guys, look at him. Like let's, if I just took a look at Team Tree, surely this guy. There's no way that someone who planted 20 million trees can secretly be like an evil villain. If my freaking browser would work. Yeah, look at him. Look at how many trees this guy planted by himself. Surely there's nothing that he could have done to be considered unethical, right? Unfortunately for him, he's got another business that I'm going to show you guys real quick that I think firmly puts him in the unethical tier, and it's the chocolate. I've actually had Feastables, not the new recipe, the The Feastables when I had it were like double this price and they were like fine chocolate. I wouldn't really recommend it. But I'm not gonna say that someone's unethical for selling chocolate, but selling chocolate at a large scale, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, necessitates the use of extremely cheap foreign labor. Usually, child labor. Like, if I were to just search, like, African child labor cocoa beans, I'm sure you guys can see what the problem is here. I personally don't think selling people into slavery in order to produce a sweet treat is particularly ethical. And as such, I don't think that MrBeast's money has been earned and deserved by planting 20 million trees, because of course, one man can do all that. I think MrBeast goes in the predator tier. Trust me, the America's Sweetheart tier, it exists, but I don't think anyone's gonna be in there. Except maybe me, if I was a billionaire. Obviously, if I was that rich, I think I would be here because I'm so good and they're so bad. Anyways, my glorious king is what many 14-year-old virgins who never go outside would say on the internet about LeBron James, who for some reason decided to go to Philadelphia. I really don't understand why he did this. Like, I am a basketball fan, and from what I know, Philadelphia has 5 guys who all want the ball. They got Joel Embiid, they got Tyrese Maxey, they got Jaylen Brown, they got VJ Edgecombe. All those guys are either all-stars or they are a top 3 pick from last year in the case of VJ Edgecombe. And now they have a dungeon master who is most effective with his genius passing with the ball. I will say that, like, a lot of LeBron's money was just made through NBA contracts. But unfortunately for King James here, not only does he fail to save his legacy by going home to Cleveland or by joining Giannis in Miami or something, this man decided it would be really funny. Let me show you guys something. Helicopter. Okay, fuck AI, but LeBron is going to live in New York, and every single practice, every single game in Philadelphia is going to use a helicopter. Because for some reason he couldn't just decide to get an apartment in Philadelphia or get a house in Philadelphia. This man has a net worth of $1.4 billion. He could easily afford a house there. And yet, he wants to take a helicopter to and from Philadelphia every single day. It's so dumb. But I wouldn't say that gets him, like, on MrBeast level, but you haven't even heard the worst of it with LeBron. I just thought that part was really funny. The real issue with LeBron is his sponsorships and his advertisements. He has endorsed and has a stake in DraftKings, which is a sports gambling app. And if you know anything about sport gambling apps, Their entire purpose is to suck wealth out of the poorest individuals in America and around the world and suck that money out to the ultra rich shareholders of these companies. LeBron James knows exactly what kind of harm can be caused. They're like legally required to read it and like put the like whole gambling problem hotline at the end of the ads. They know. They just don't care because all they care about is making money. That being said, I don't think that it's quite as bad as using child labor in Africa. So I think he goes in quote unquote earned and deserved. I think quite a lot of the money that LeBron earned was through his own labor. He is probably the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth, and he is extremely fun to watch. But that doesn't mean that the behind the scenes guys in the NBA, like the broadcasters, the arena staff, the security guards, the athletic training staff, the coaches, the assistant coaches, the agents even, that these guys didn't play a large role in the amount of money that LeBron James has made. Notice how I didn't say GMs though, because LeBron is a GM. He just is. Bro goes wherever and whenever he wants. And I kind of have to respect it in a way, but you ain't safe, Mr. LeBron! Okay. I'm done glazing LeBron, though. Because now, it's time for probably the second least well-known billionaire on this list, but a lot of gamers defend this guy. This guy is Gabe Newell, the CEO of Valve and Steam, or at least, I don't know, no, actually, I misspoke. He's not the CEO, he is the majority shareholder of Valve and Steam. Steam is obviously a monopoly on PC gaming. That is just what it is. Now, for a monopoly, it's not that bad. Obviously, it sucks that, like, independent gaming developers can't make quite as much money by having their own way to sell their games. But at the very least, the company structure of Steam isn't, like, terrible in a way that, like, blatantly rips off the artists in as much of a way as, like, traditional monopolies in the past have. Like, frickin' Standard Oil. I'm sure you guys have seen this. I'm sure you guys have seen this guy from history class, the Standard Oil octopus. If my thing would actually load, I would like to show you guys. Aha, this guy. Take a look at him. Aww. So cute. But yeah, this is essentially a visual representation of what monopolies do. They have absolute power over everything in a certain industry, and they use that power however they want. It is unfortunately a natural process of capitalism to have monopolies form, because in a system of, like, uneven development, where not every company grows as fast due to, like, essentially luck. Some of it is, like, decisions in terms of, like, how fairly are the management gonna pay the workers, but let's just treat it like it's essentially random. eventually the most powerful and most wealthy owners are going to form alliances to drive out smaller competition, because competition forces them to pay more expenses in terms of not selling their goods for quite as high of a price as they think they can get away with, and paying their workers a fair enough wage so that they don't leave and join the other companies. But these guys will often buy out smaller companies. They'll do all sorts of like shady deals, try and create like some kind of scandal in the media. They'll do everything at their disposal to get rid of other companies. I would say this Steam isn't an octopus. Steam is honestly just more like one of those squids from Splatoon. Like, they're everywhere, but individually they don't really pose much of a threat, and like they're kind of cute. But at the end of the day, they still got tentacles. They still look scary, and if enough of them come together, they can actually form a major offensive force that can take over any land, as they did in the universe of Splatoon. Maybe this is a bad example. But I would say this is essentially how monopolies work. The main thing with Gabe Newell, though, that I would say keeps him from being in our coveted America's Sweetheart tier that all of your favorite ethical billionaires would go into. We gotta take a look at this guy's yacht. Look at this thing. It's fucking gigantic. They call it the Leviathan. It's like 5 stories tall, I believe. It has like a pool, a pretty nice dining area. And it's worth about $500 million. This $500 million could have been spent in so many different ways. But this guy chose his own comfort over the needs of humanity. I showed you guys the African child labor. I have not showed you guys the statistics I'm going to bring up later about homelessness, but let's just say in the US alone, there's about 700,000 homeless people. That $500 million could have been spent to build them as much housing as they needed. They literally could have all gotten into an apartment as well, and all paid their rent for like 1.5 months. Every single homeless person could have been housed with $500 million, with all of the vacant housing that there is. The statistics are kind of complicated. I'm going to show you guys at least a little bit of a snippet. So there's about for context, there's about 14.5 vacant homes in the US. And this trend works, like, I would say, pretty evenly across the world, that there's like a housing surplus basically everywhere. And of those 14 million houses, that, like, if you were to do the math, like take that number at face value, put all of the like 700,000, 800,000 even homeless people in the US, that's about 28 homes for each person. Obviously, it's not that simple. Some of them are in disrepair. Some of them are like owned by dead people. Some of them are like vacation homes in the mountains that are like 5 miles or more away from anything, or like cabins in the woods. But just of the houses and like housing units available for rent and for sale, that's about 3 million. You can see this graph here. Hold up. Oh, you can't actually see this graph. Hold up. Let me show you. Because this is actually kind of important. You guys need to see this. This is the breakdown of what types of vacant housing there is in the US. If we ignore every single category, the other vacant stuff, the like, even like excluding second homes, we just look at for rent and for sale, which means these houses are ready to be lived in. That's like 3 million. That is still about 4 houses for every single homeless person. And yet, we still have people who get to own mega yachts. And why is that? Well, it's sure as hell not because there's not enough houses. It's not because wealthy people are just not being nice enough and like not giving away their money through charity. No, it's because landlords and banks are holding out on these houses because it's not profitable to sell a house for less than market value, or rent a place out for less than its market value. They would rather let people die than they would sacrifice a little bit of their profits. And all of these people own more than one house. LeBron, I believe, has like 3 houses. I think he has one in LA, he has one in Cleveland, and I believe he has one in New York now, which is where he's staying. Gabe Newell has, I believe, 3 houses as well. I would say he goes with LeBron. A lot of the way that Steam made its money was through like buying up other gaming companies and like charging a like small fee from them to use their site. But overall, like, Steam is a quite nice monopoly. But there are many cases when the person at the top is not quite as nice, like in the case of Standard Oil, and you literally get like a nationwide farmers' outrage and a famine because of oil prices being too high to reliably do all the irrigation that they need or transport their goods, their crops to the cities via train. Coal prices were also pretty high, but I would say they were not monopolized to the degree that oil was, because oil is so much more powerful than coal. I would say Gabe Newell probably deserves this spot. Let's talk about Joe Limont. This is my mom's boss. So naturally, I'm not going to hold back. Right now, Joe Limont is best known for Alpha School. Alpha School is a private school that is planning to incorporate AI into the education system. This is actually this school right here. I've been to this school, like to drop stuff off, to run errands for my mom. It's, as you can see, it's a pretty decent design actually. Like I kind of dig the school. The problem I have with it is the use of AI. Though I would say, like, AI obviously has a lot of problems. Like, the places where data centers are built are literally like the poorest and most vulnerable places on Earth, the places where it's hardest to resist them being built. So it's not even always just like in rural communities in America. You'll also have data centers in like Africa, Southeast Asia, parts of Indonesia, because it's really easy to get building permits where no one else wants to build anything and where all you need is like water, basically, and like 100 people to maintain the facilities. So before you come at me with the argument, oh, but like this is gonna create so many jobs, this is gonna lead to a lot of educational advancements. The kids can't fucking read. Kids are already using AI on their tests and like on their essays. And like if you take their shit away, they like literally cannot write a paragraph. If you like actually listen to what the teachers these days are saying, it is dire. I'm sure you can feel your brain cells melting away every single time you get the freaking AI overview when you're on Google search. No one likes that. I miss the days when we could just say that Wikipedia was a somewhat unreliable source that sometimes took things out of context from sources that it cited. The AI overview will like take something said on Reddit and put it up as like divine law. It will not question any of the information on its sources. And we know there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, right? AI tends to take everything at face value and just conglomerate it with equal weight to the point where you just get a bunch of slop. What happens when you mix a bunch of colors of paint? Some pretty colors, some ugly colors. You don't get like a pretty color from that. You don't get the pretty colors to cancel out the ugly colors. You just get a hideous shade of brown. You just get slop. But I will say, this guy's previous ventures are probably worse than Alpha School. He's also the owner of a software company, or he was the owner of a software company called Trilogy Software. Trilogy Software is one of the leading software companies that is trying to incorporate AI into its operating systems. There's numerous other problems with software industries, like the use of African slave labor in like cobalt mines and stuff for like microprocessors for the servers that these tech companies run on. He's also an owner of a private equity firm called ESW Capital. Private equity firms, literally, their job is just to use money to buy stuff up and get more money out of it. It is like mask off monopoly by money, by power, by might makes right. I don't know how you can call this guy ethical. I just don't. I think I wouldn't say he's the Terminator because he's not quite as bad as like Elon Musk or some of the other really high profile tech bros. And also, he doesn't own a lot of those companies anymore. If he was still owning them, I might have considered the Terminator. But he goes here. In fact, I think he might actually be what liberals would call the least ethical billionaire on this list. We got two more to get through. So sit tight, chat. This will hopefully turn into a video in the future. But alright, we got Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates is a complicated one. Because a lot of the stuff you could say that she did when she was married to Bill Gates, a lot of the evils that like the Gates Foundation committed, her connection to like Epstein and stuff, her breaking ties with Bill Gates, in my opinion, absolves her of almost all of the guilt associated with her past business ventures with Bill Gates. Obviously, she still got a lot of assets from him. Like, she still has like 3 houses and stakes in like Coca-Cola and AutoNation. Which that's ultimately like where we get to the quote-unquote unethical part, where like, sure, Melinda Gates might be doing a lot of philanthropy regarding like advancing women's rights. But again, let me remind you, say it with me, these charities would not have to exist had the problems of capitalism created by the ultra-rich not existed. Charities exist to solve the problems created by capitalism. There's a reason that the quote exists. If I feed the poor, you call me a saint. Or no, look, I'll cut that out when the actual video comes out. When I give food to the poor, they call me a saint. But when I ask why the poor have no food, they call me a communist. Charities exist to solve the problems of capitalism. And they don't even do a really good job of that. The best way I could describe it is like, I don't know if you guys have ever played Whack-A-Mole, but essentially, every time you hit the mole or try to hit it, it just pops up somewhere else. Or like, if you were trying to stop a balloon from popping, or like stop the AC in your house from leaking by putting duct tape and sealant on it. Like, obviously, it might not stop working immediately, but you still have a broken AC unit. You just put some sealant on it and prayed that it'll keep you cool for another couple months. Even if you like find a way to like stop the flow of air to a balloon that's being blown up, it's still gonna pop. Even if you slow it down, because eventually the pressure is just going to be too much. It's either gonna pop or it's going to leak. You can't hold it all in. I will say though, just because Melinda Gates absolved herself of a lot of the guilt that comes from being a part of like the Gates Foundation and being married to Bill Gates, and the fact that it seems like she was blindsided to a lot of what he did, I think she is actually in this tier, which is still not good. Let me be clear, all of these 3 tiers are all bad. I just don't think you can compare her to like an aspiring tech bro or child labor extraordinaire. She still has the same problems that anyone of the billionaire class would have, but she's definitely a level below these guys. And I don't think, like, if you guys in chat have any argument as to why you'd want Melinda Gates higher, like, I'd hear it. I just don't think you could put a convincing argument that Melinda Gates is worse than MrBeast. Last but not least, we got every 8-year-old's favorite singer. It's just a phase, Mom. They'll grow out of it. At least I hope they will. You might think, oh, she's generous. She donates to charity. She calls out Donald Trump. Surely she can't be that bad, right? I don't think you guys have looked into the companies that Taylor Swift has a stake in. I would say the worst of them is Coca-Cola. There is a whole debate to be had about like whether soda is even ethical to sell because of like the extremely high sugar content. Doctors and nutritionists agree that it's like basically pure slaw that is designed to activate our dopamine receptors and take advantage of biological instincts to want to hoard calories, to like have fat to get warm for the winter, essentially, and hijacked that to literally make a drink that is sugar, water, and corn syrup and pass it off as like a cool new original idea that is totally not a drug. Taylor Swift very specifically has a stake in Diet Coke, which in some ways is like actually unhealthier than Coke. I wouldn't say it's quite as bad, but the companies that own Diet Coke are still really bad. Chief among the scandals that I have been able to find, I don't know if you've heard of this company named Fairlife that sells like protein milk, essentially. That's what they advertise. They have been under investigation for animal abuse. Let's take a look at this. Can y'all see it? Yo, please work. I'll even pause the music for this one, because this is really important. I don't quite think most people are aware of just how evil factory farms are.
You could spend all day.
And you know what's even worse? Ads. Trying to sell me things that I don't need. Have any of y'all ever chased a receipt? Alright, let's take a look at this, guys.
Animal abuse began day one, hour one of our employment at Fair Oaks Farms.
Look at this. They're straight thrusting it into this cow's mouth.
calves in front of our worker they were being beaten, punched, stabbed, and beaten with steel rebar.
Oh yeah, look at how small this cage is. I don't even know. Like, I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'6". I don't know if I could lay down flat in this cage in any direction.
Watching this video broke my heart and created a sadness that I'll have to endure the rest of my life. I am
Like the
sorry and I
fuck,
apologize.
the fuck you care? You've been the one who is making money off of these animals being treated like machines, being treated as disposable. I see right through this man, and I hope y'all do as well.
It is imperative that I put in measures where I
I
can
don't
guarantee
want to
myself
watch.
and all.
Okay, okay, let's see. So this is what Coca-Cola is doing. This is the type of shit that is going on behind the scenes. And this woman makes money off of animals. I'm sorry to say it, but I think she might be the Terminator. Maybe her overall impact, like I didn't even mention like the jet plane stuff, by the way. Maybe her individual impact might not be as high as the ones in Predator, but I can't see something like that happen and say, this girl, she earned that $2.1 billion. She would, it was completely earned and deserved, and no one got hurt in the process. Even if, like, she didn't really know about this specific scandal, she didn't do anything about it. She's still complicit. And with that being said, I think we have our tier list. This was actually a pretty chill stream. It's a shame that not as many people actually showed up to this one. I'm going to be live next week for something that I've been really excited for a really long time. We're going to be doing round 2 of Leftist Jeopardy. And I think this time I actually got some pretty big fish on board with this. It's going to be fun. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. But anyways, I think this is where I sign off and try to go raid my freezer for something to eat for dessert or something. Hopefully it's ethically sourced. And hopefully I gave you guys an adequate explanation of why I don't think it's possible for any billionaire to be ethical. I think it's the wrong conversation because at the end of the day, these people didn't work for their money. They got it by having a piece of paper that says they own something. And usually, no, always, what that means is that there are people and animals underneath them whose labor is being exploited, which they didn't earn. I'm live. Don't worry, I was about to end the stream. But yeah, I would say if you guys are still here, the best advice I would give you is focus on the structural evils that, like, even these so-called like nice billionaires are complicit in, that they still use despite appearing to be smiling, polite, even if they appear to support certain social justice oriented issues, they're still participating in the same unjust, rotten system. Be sure to emphasize that. Because even if you focus on the morals, there's always going to be a way to weasel your way out of that argument. You have to focus on incentives, focus on the profit motive, focus on exploitation, focus on like worker suffering, animal suffering, whatever you need to do. But I would say try to establish whatever playing field you can that doesn't mean you have to argue about morals alone. With that being said, see y'all next week. Hopefully